Previously, Subaru was not a fan of following the crowd. However, in their quest to increase their sales numbers, the company has steadily been redesigning their lineup to appeal to a more mainstream kind of buyer. Now it's the 2015 Subaru Legacy's turn. Let's take a look at this redesigned 6th generation model and see if it has what it takes to take on Camry and Accord. So you guys have heard me stress over and over again just how fiercely competitive this midsize family sedan segment is. In fact, last year alone, Toyota sold over 430,000 Camrys, followed by Honda with about 380,000 Accords. Subaru, on the other hand, they only occupied about 1% of the market, with the company moving roughly about 40 to 50,000 Legacies each year, which is roughly about the same that a Mazda 6 does. Now, Subaru says that they want to double that market share, which means they want to move about 80 to 100,000 Legacies for 2015. With this all-new 6th generation model, the company may very well have that vehicle to achieve those numbers. This car has typically been the alternative to family sedans, where it offers standard all-wheel drive. It offers the usual quirky features that Subarus have made themselves known for in the past. And the company does have a loyal group of buyers, a loyal group of followers, you can say. Even though it is rather a small bunch, there's a lot of people out there, when you buy a Subaru, they tend to replace their Subaru with another Subaru. Now, in terms of the Legacy, this is the company's biggest sedan offering. They actually offer this car in the Legacy sedan, and then of course there's the Outback station wagon, which is kind of like a jacked up SUV cross-tour Venza competitor. Now, you can see the design of this car kind of took a more mainstream approach. The previous generation Legacy was always somewhat of a quirky design. It stood out in a not so great way, at least for me. I wasn't really a fan of the styling. With this model, it's a little bit of a kind of a blander, more restrained look. That's not to say that it's not handsome. I think the front of the car looks great. I really like these new headlights on the car with the signature LED accent that encircles the projector headlight. Subaru started that styling trend on the BRZ, and it's been slowly carrying over to all the other models. Now, these projector headlights come standard on every trim level, and if you guys go for the top trim V6 model, the 3.6R, it'll give you high intensity discharge HID headlights. Now, the design of this car, when you look at the side, kind of looks like every other midsize sedan. Subaru's Legacy is a little bit smaller than the rest of the competition. It's about 2 inches shorter in wheelbase, 2 inches shorter in overall length. However, that doesn't mean the car is cramped on the inside. This all-new interior is one of the roomiest in the class now, and Subaru really did a great job with making this cabin feel airy and a comfortable place to sit in. Now, looking at the rear of the car, it kind of resembles a Toyota Camry, to be honest, which in my book, I'm kind of annoyed with the fact that it looks like a Camry, but a lot of mid-sized buyers, they just want a safe, reliable, economical vehicle to take them from point A to B. The 2.5i Limited that my tester has the single chrome outlet exhaust in the back. You guys go for the V6, you'll get dual chrome tips just to make for a little bit more sportier look. Now, these 18-inch wheels are also quite handsome. They come standard on the 2.5i Limited and the 3.6R. This car comes in 4 trims. There's the base 2.5i, which I'd probably just skip, the 2.5i Premium, which gives you most of the features that buyers in this segment want, and then the 2.5i Limited and 3.6R Limited. If you guys want the V6, you're limited to basically just that top of the line trim level. Now, overall, I think the Subaru Legacy certainly will appeal to the mainstream market. It's kind of that, it's got that standard all-wheel drive that Subarus are known for. Of course, this is not the only all-wheel drive player in the segment now. You can now get all-wheel drive on the Ford Fusion and, of course, the Chrysler 200. However, those models are limited to their top trim, and they don't offer the base engine with all-wheel drive like the Subaru does. So let's get on the inside and check out what Subaru has done with the all-new interior of this Legacy. Now, stepping inside the cabin of this all-new Legacy, you can tell the interior has just been completely redesigned. Subaru really focused on interior quality and technology with this all-new 6th generation, and it really shows. Now, first stepping inside the vehicle, it's got a really easy and a good step-in height. It's a little bit lower, of course, this is not an SUV, but you can see, just looking at the overall interior ambience, Subaru really basically gave us the most luxurious Legacy yet. Now, luxurious is a relative term. This is not a luxury car, of course, by any means, but here's the key for the vehicle. This is a new key fob from Subaru. It's got intelligent access with push button start. You can only get this key fob on the limited model, but you can see push button start is an option on this limited. Put your foot on the brake, push the button to start the engine. And the gauges are typical Subaru. I really like how they're legible, easy to read. That center LCD's display is also really nice, has really good map graphics nonetheless, and I like the blue color. Now you can see here, looking at the rest of this interior, the design is simple, it's clean, it's inoffensive. It's not really going to be the style leader, but it gets the job done. Now, one of the things you're going to immediately notice is the interior quality of this car. Now, even though this wood grain is fake here, I really like the way it looks. It's a very nice looking fake wood grain. It's got these silver painted plastic pieces to kind of break it off. The dashboard is composed of a high quality soft touch material. Everything fits well. The door panels are also soft touch as well, with more of the fake wood chrome door handle. The window is automatic up down for the driver and the front passenger. And then of course this armrest right here is really nicely padded. It's really comfortable. I mean, overall this interior is just really nice, and it fits the bill of a mid-size sedan and being a great daily driver. Now, looking at the center stack here, this is where Subaru really upped their technology. The company is not known for having a tech-forward cabin. I mean, their cabins in the past have just been criticized for being several years behind the competition. I have to say, this new infotainment display has finally caught up. It's not class leading by any measures, but it certainly looks great. I mean, this is a 7-inch touchscreen display. It's kind of got, it works like a tablet. You can scroll, you can pinch, you can zoom. This navigation equipped model is optional. You can either get the car with nav and push button start and moonroof, or you can add the Eyesight System, which I'll talk about later on. Now, pushing the home button here, I love the fact that Subaru gave us regular knobs for volume and for tuning, but they gave you the touch capacitive buttons here for all the other stuff. And I think it's a really clean, simple layout. I like how it's nicely integrated. You have dual zone automatic climate control on this limited model. You can see here, this car does have apps, and you go to the app button here. This is Starlink, is Subaru's in-car telematics system, kind of like Hyundai Blue Link, GM OnStar, stuff like that. You have AHA, Pandora. Going back to the home screen here, you have your choices between map, audio, phone, info, settings, and such. When you go to the map display here, the navigation system, like I said, it kind of resembles stuff that you're going to get from an aftermarket system, which isn't a bad thing. Mazda kind of went the same route. I mean, the system itself, it works really well. It's pretty responsive. You can see here, I can basically use it like a tablet. I can scroll, I can pinch, I can zoom, I can double tap and stuff, and the car's screen, the touch screen, is actually really responsive. So I'm pleased to say that works really well. The voice command system also works really well. When you push that button here, you can basically just say addresses in the entire sequence. You don't have to do it in buckets like some older cars. So I'm pleased to say that the infotainment display in this car has been completely upgraded, and I really am looking forward to Subaru, following suit in all the rest of their models, especially the Impreza WRX, which still has the older infotainment display. When you put the car in reverse, you do get a nice backup camera with some distance markers, but no trajectory. I kind of hope Subaru adds that in the coming years. However, the screen itself is very clear, very legible. It's a very high quality camera back there as well. Now, speaking of which, here, looking at the rest of this center stack, interior storage is also great. You have a new electronic parking brake, and then of course the CVT transmission. This is your only transmission choice in the Legacy. They did get rid of the manual transmission, unfortunately. But you can see here, it doesn't have a manual mode here. You use the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel if you want to use the manual mode. Now, this little storage compartment here is also really nice for when you want to put your phone in there. Your 2 USB ports, an aux port, and then a power outlet is in there, so you can hide your stuff in there. I really like how Subaru designed that. The cup holders here are nice and big. This button here actuates the hill holder feature, which I'm not sure why you'd want to manually turn it on. You would think that Subaru would just make it automatic all the time. The center console here is also very nicely large. Good storage. You have another power outlet down there, and then of course the padded leather here is very comfortable, very soft. It's a very comfortable car. The seats themselves, they also are very soft. They hold you in place relatively well. Of course, this is not a sports sedan by any measures, but you do have heated seats in the front and the rear. And then of course this moonroof option, which Subaru does not offer the big panoramic sunroof like some of its competitors. Now looking at the rear seat of the all-new Legacy, this is where Subaru also improved things, and this is where family sedan buyers are really going to look for strengths for in a vehicle. Subaru's Legacy now has 38 inches of legroom back here, and I have to say, the space is plentiful. This is pretty much what you're going to get in the Toyota Camry, the Nissan Altima, the Honda Accord, and the Volkswagen Passat offers a little bit more space. You can see here, like I said, dual-stage heated rear seats, very nice. You have vents as well back here, just to add to some comfort. The seat itself is stadium style. It's a little bit higher up than the front seat, so you have a nice view back here. The thigh support's also good. When you fold this down here, you have a nice armrest with cup holders. The seats themselves, they are 60-40 split, and I'm happy to say that the materials did carry through. It's soft touch back here with more of that faux wood grain accents to make the rear seat environment much more comfortable. Now checking out the cargo area of the all-new Legacy, this is an area where Subaru did improve things. You're looking at 15 cubic feet of space, which makes it about in line with the rest of the competition. I do like the fact that the opening is large. There's no hinges that crush your cargo. You can see again the seats do fold down 60-40, and then when you look underneath here, you actually do get a nice temporary spare air, so Subaru doesn't make you go with the annoying fix-a-flat kit that a lot of manufacturers are going with these days. Now in typical Subaru quirky fashion here, you're going to find a 2.5 liter flat four. This is a boxer horizontally opposed four-cylinder engine. It means the cylinders are sitting basically sideways, and they kind of oppose each other when they go about doing the combustion cycle. Now this engine, Subaru's been using this engine for quite some time. They did update it slightly with a little bit less friction. It uses a new redesigned CVT transmission. The output numbers are 175 horsepower and 174 foot-pounds of torque, roughly 2 more horsepower than the 2014 model. This engine still does lack direct injection. It doesn't really have much in terms of today's modern tech features. If you guys want a little bit more power, there's the 3.6 liter horizontally opposed flat six, which is basically sort of like the engine you would get in a Porsche 911. That makes 256 horsepower and 243 pound-feet of torque. Again, a CVT is your only option. Now, fuel economy is an area where Subaru's stressed with this all-new model, and this four-cylinder is rated at 26 in the city and 36 on the highway with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. So it basically matches what you're going to get in a Honda Accord, a Toyota Camry, a Hyundai Sonata, with the heavier all-wheel drive system that does also put some drag on the engine. Now, paired with that only CVT transmission, let's get out on the road and see how this combination does, shall we? So as you guys probably noticed, it's a frigid 19 degrees here in the DC area, and it's been really cold the last few days. You can see there's some snow on the ground, and I have to say it's the best time to test this Subaru all-wheel drive system. And I have to say the confidence it gives you, the security, it's one of the reasons why there is a loyal group of followers with Subaru, and I'm definitely eager to show you guys how this 2015 Legacy performs. Now, right off the bat, I'm always reminded every time I drive a midsize family sedan just how great of vehicles they are. I mean, there's a reason why this is the best-selling segment in the US. It's just a really easy, smooth, comfortable car to drive, and the Subaru Legacy is no exception to that. This car is very, very economical. It's very, very, you know, comfortable. It has really good sight lines, and overall the car is just something that will, you know, take the annoyances of your life out. Now, right off the bat, I'm always reminded every time I drive a family sedan just how easy they are to drive. This class of car is the best-selling segment in the US for a reason. It just represents the kind of car that most people would be happy to drive, you know, on an everyday basis. The Subaru Legacy is no exception to that. It's a very comfortable, easy car to drive. Anyone can basically just get in this car and just drive it, and it's a really easy car to figure out. And I have to say, when Subaru redesigned this Legacy, refinement was something that they really stressed. This car rides on an all-new platform. It's a little bit lighter. The hood is made of aluminum. It's much more refined. The engine now has these liquid-filled mounts that really just damp out the vibrations you typically associate with this boxer engine. Now, immediately I'm noticing the improved structural rigidity of this car. When I go down these bumpy, crappy roads here in the DC area, this car soaks up the bumps really well. It rides really well, and it's also pretty quiet on the inside. Subarus in the past have typically lacked refinement. They were always on the bouncier side, they were always on the noisier side, and this car feels very solid. It goes down the road with a level of solidity that and quality that you did never used to associate with a Subaru platform. And the ride quality, I think Subaru really nailed it. Even with these low profile 18-inch wheels on my limited tester, this car rides exceptionally well. Now, Subarus have been going to the CVT route for a few years now. The company finally has gotten rid of their dated 4- and 5-speed automatics. The previous legacy with the 6-cylinder was the last model with the 5-speed auto. And I have to say, even though I hate CVTs, you guys have heard me stress that, I just drove the new Sonata, and I have to say, this CVT transmission and this engine is a much better pairing, much better combination than the engine in the Sonata. The Sonata's slow shifting 6-speed automatic certainly is not my favorite, and this more responsive CVT with that traditional boxer noise wail, I actually prefer it over the combination in the Sonata. And I have to say, in terms of the CVT, Subaru calls it their Lineartronic CVT. It's a very smooth and good transmission. It's one of the best CVTs in the business, and I have to say it's a better CVT. It's a better combination versus the Impreza's 2-liter 4-cylinder with this engine. The 2.5 just has a lot more grunt. It has much more torque, and it moves the Subaru Legacy out well. And I have to say that one thing I do like about this CVT is the fact that it mimics gears. It'll actually mimic gear shifts even in the normal mode. There's actually one thing about this car that's refreshing is there's no sport, there's no eco mode. You just put it in drive and you put your foot down and you drive it normally or you drive it aggressively. There's no different buttons that you can play with, and that's kind of the way I prefer it. Most family sedan shoppers are never going to really play with the settings. And of course, when you do put your foot down, even though this is just a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, it'll get to 60 in about 9 seconds, a tick under 9 seconds, which is slow by the numbers. However, Subaru's tuned this engine very well. It has that nice noise, as I said, and the transmission is very responsive. It will basically just give you instant torque right off the line, and it feels peppy. It feels peppy, especially around town. Only on the highway you're really going to notice the lack of power, and I have to say, I probably would just recommend going with the 4-cylinder over the much thirstier 6-cylinder model. Now, handling is also another thing where Subaru is actually tuned this car very well. The steering is a new electric power steering system. It doesn't give you much road feel, however, the precision is there. The car feels very tossable, and one thing I like about the Legacy is it feels relatively small. It goes down the road, and it feels a lot smaller than some of its competitors. It feels nimble, it feels light, it's very fun to drive, and I have to say Subaru nailed the driving dynamics for me with this all-wheel drive model. Now, another thing that's new about Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system is the fact that it has torque vectoring now. That's basically what Acura gives you, for example, with their super handling all-wheel drive. This car will, send power to the outside wheel and push you around the corner to keep you from understeering. That's the typical trademark of an all-wheel drive car. Now, the car does have paddle shifters, which if you put it into the manual mode here and start flicking the paddles, it gives you 6 virtual ratios. I honestly really didn't use it. I don't really like using paddle shifters with a CVT. It kind of has a slow shifting, a rubbery, slippery feel when you use the paddle shifters. Most of the times, I just left it in the automatic mode and let the transmission do its own thing. Now, another trademark characteristic of Subarus is the safety systems in place. Subaru is basically known for having a lot of safety features in their cars and for having really good crash test scores. The Legacy is no exception. Their new Eyesight safety tech, driver assistance tech feature, is a really good feature to have. I'm really a big fan of Eyesight. Basically, you've got these 2 cameras that are mounted right here, which the cameras now are a little bit less awkward. You can still see them from the outside, so they're not really well hidden from the car. But I mean, the system works much better than just traditional radar systems that most cars have. I mean, basically, the car calls this Eyesight. It's basically like having a pair of eyes. For example, when you The car has adaptive cruise control where it will follow the car in front of you, even in traffic. It has lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and the Eyesight System works pretty well. In the infotainment display here, or in the LCD display, basically you have, when you turn it on, you have this little car icon that actually shows you brake lights every time you hit the brakes. And when you set the system, you set it to whatever speed you want. It'll tell you what speed. It'll basically look at the car in front of you, and it's got something what Subaru calls lead follow car change. Every time the car in front of you gets out of the way, the car will actually beep at you, and it'll tell you the car's moved. And then when another car reappears, it beeps again, as you just heard. And it's really good at following the car in front of you. I've got the adaptive cruise control on right now, and the car will basically come to a stop. It'll accelerate for me, just like any other system. And Subaru gives it to you at a much more affordable price. And one of the things that I really like about the Eyesight System is the fact that it does a few other things that some other cars don't do. For example, let's say you come to a stop, the car in front of you stopped, but then all of a sudden you're not paying attention, you're on your phone, then the car in front of you moves, the car will actually beep at you and it'll tell you vehicle in front of you has moved before the guy behind you can lay on your horn, which so many drivers nowadays with today's smartphone systems are just basically not paying attention. And I have to say that the Subaru Eyesight System works extremely well. As you can see here, I'm actually not on the throttle. The car is seeing the car in front of me, and it is coming to a stop, and is actually going to hold the car here while you're stopped. So basically, you just kind of sit here, and all you do is work the steering. The Subaru Legacy does not have active lane keeping assist. All you do is work the steering. You can see here the cars in front of you will move. The camera will move and it'll tell you vehicles ahead has moved. You flick that switch right there, the cruise control switch, and the car will start moving again on its own. So it's a really nice feature to have, especially in areas where you have a lot of traffic. This car will basically just drive itself for you in traffic, and it does a really good job at doing that. Now, coming up to the conclusion of this video, I have to say I'm quite impressed with the Subaru Legacy. I'm quite impressed with the Subaru brand in general. I mean, for fuel economy, that's where the company has really had an issue, where their models were a lot less in terms of gas mileage. And I have to say, over my week's worth of testing, I averaged about 24 miles per gallon in the city. On the highway, I got it up about 34, 35 miles per gallon. So that's really excellent when you factor in the fact that this is all-wheel drive, that's standard equipment, and the weight and the drag that it adds versus a front-wheel drive car. So I'm pleased to say Subaru has really nailed the fuel economy department. In terms of driving enjoyment, of course, the previous Legacy offered like a 2.5 GT model with a turbocharged engine. This new one does not have a manual, it doesn't have a turbo engine. And I have to say, I'm kind of thinking the company should just get rid of the 3.6 in general. They've got a new 2-liter turbo in the Forester XT with a CVT. I think that should be the new top engine in this car. I really think the 3.6 is just overkill. Most manufacturers are going away from the 6-cylinder, and typically, I wouldn't say that. Typically, I like 6 cylinders. However, the gas mileage difference, the not much more additional power, I would just prefer this 4-cylinder model, as most buyers in this class are going to actually choose the 2.5-liter engine. Now, in terms of pricing, Subaru's Legacy is also on the lower end of the spectrum. This car starts at just under $22,000 for the base 2.5i model. I said before I'd skip that model. I'd go for the 2.5i Premium at least. That'll give you features like a power driver's seat. You can get a sunroof, you get alloy wheels, you get upgraded sound system, you can get nav, you can get the Eyesight driver assistance tech features. That car is about $2,000 more. Now, of course, I'm driving the 2.5i Limited. That starts at about $26,500. Add about $2,800 for the nav, the moonroof, the push to start, and then the Eyesight system. And all in, this car is about $30,500. Now, that represents an excellent value. It makes it about $1,500 to $1,000 cheaper than some of its competitors like the Altima, the Accord, the Camry, for example. If you guys go for the 6, it's another $2,000 on top of that. I mean, this car will top out about $33,500 for a fully loaded 6-cylinder model, which represents a nice middle ground in the segment. And it offers the Subaru all-wheel drive system. It also offers a really comfortable interior. My few gripes with the car is basically I'd like to see a manual. I'd like to see a more performance-oriented model. And then, of course, I'd like to see styling that's a little bit more exotic, I guess. I mean, the concept version of this car that when they showed in Detroit was just more striking versus the production model. But nonetheless, it's a handsome, inoffensive design, and it's sure to, get Subaru the sales that they are looking for in this segment. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of this 2015 Subaru Legacy. If you're in the market for a mid-size family sedan, make sure you check this model out. It's certainly worth a look, especially if you guys are looking for the model with all-wheel drive. And if you're basically looking for the Honda Accord with all-wheel drive, this car kind of feels like it, to be honest. It basically feels like an all-wheel drive version of the Accord. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you are interested in seeing the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on my Instagram page, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you more reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.